Just a quick announcement again, it's the same thing as last episode, but with less information. This is just an episode that we recorded way back then when we were only releasing this in Spotify. We just wanted to get them all in YouTube as well. So, yeah, that's it. Let's go to the episode.
All right, everybody, welcome to this week's Weekly Harvest podcast, where we talk about Wixoss, Wixoss, and everything in between. I'm Hakata. Eden is going to be out today, so he's got a bunch of work to do, doing store stuff, making money, unlike us scrubs. But I also have Psycho over here with me.
Yep, I'm here. I'm alive.
Barely, but he is alive. We're keeping him on life support. But we also brought in a guest, Phantom from Card Garden. Just because Eden's out.
Mr. Sound Govern Rate 100%.
That's right. Phantom, aka Soundga, 100% win rate. Not in competitive, but that's fine. Hello, how you guys doing?
All right, you.
I'm doing great.
Doing okay on the outside.
Only on the outside.
Yeah, only on the outside. On the inside, it's a rotted corpse of an apple. So I know we're a little bit late on this one, but Lostorage did release. And we figured we kind of talk about some of the the set in general, the LRIGs that came out with it. The fact that Tomy actually did something pretty cool by releasing a pre-release kit for stores to do, and some non-stores and other people kind of obtained. But then we got like a bunch of new pieces. We got some new SRs, a new mechanic that we'll go over a little bit, and then kind of go over like some deck types and archetypes that we've been seeing kind of in the competitive scene. But to kind of start it off with, so the set in general, like, what do you guys think about the set in general?
I think the set overall is it's fine. It's not like a super blowout set like, let's say, Vertex Diva, but it's got a lot of new fun Signy and tools to play with, and I think just seeing some of the creative deck building around the set makes for some pretty good gameplay.
Yeah, I actually love this set because Bernices is in it. Another Cosmos.
Psycho's like a resident Cosmos simp.
Yep. But yeah, no, this set's okay overall. I know it wasn't super hyped up, but I try to be excited for every set.
Yeah, I mean, I'll kind of agree. It's not like the worst set. I've definitely felt like I've been gone, or we've kind of gone through worse sets. But yeah, it wasn't the best set. There is a good handful of cards that I was excited about. One, I'm actually a fairly big fan of Nanashi, so seeing her at least show up was really cool. And then honestly, one of the cards that I got really psyched about was Thoroughbred. Because one of my early dream decks was to build a decent Terra Beast deck, and she just really helps push Terra Beasts over the edge there. It's still probably not like a hyper competitive type of format or an archetype deck, but still having Thoroughbred can at least make Terra Beast a bit more viable. But yeah, overall, I think the set is fine. Again, I think we have a bit more to look forward to in the future rather than now. Set 6, the previous set, was a pretty big one in my opinion, with a lot of changes, and especially like forcing, or maybe not forcing, but really pushing the dream teams and kind of pushing out the team pieces. So it's a double-edged sword there. But kind of moving on to like especially with these cards and stuff. So looking at the new LRIG, so it looks like we got, from what I'm seeing, 4 new center LRIGs with this set. 5 of it, I guess you include Tama from the starter. So we're looking at Maho 3, Rill, Dona, Aya, and then Tama herself. So what did you guys think about like the LRIGs in this set? I know Tama especially has been like a big one from the White Hope starter deck. And I would say, at least personally, I've seen her really dominating a lot of the scene right now too. Or well, no, sorry, Tama was last set. Wow.
Yeah, I was like, please correct me if I'm wrong. I thought Tama was P06.
Oh man, I'm way off timeline here. Sorry.
I thought I'd sit here and let you embarrass yourself.
Oh, thanks. Gotta let me have that. Gotta take that one and hang that over my head.
I was like, you said five new LRIGs. I'm like, what? I'm like, We got 4 new centers. Honestly, I keep forgetting Maho's in the set just because I haven't built a deck with her yet. You know, that's all Psycho's domain with Cosmos. But
Yeah.
I think each new center brings a nice little fun to the table. Like I guess I'll start us off with Rill. You know, Rill was kind of one of the ones I was more excited to play with because the coin mechanic is just a nice new thing, a
Yeah.
new resource to use, similar to Exceeding. Um, and Rill is kind of cool because you can get coins back with her once per turn, so you can get a little greedy with things like Mask Legend or Carnival Memoria, and just have fun with that. Plus a
Yeah,
once per game Omni
she
Vanish
definitely
is
is that
fun.
pushing that coin mechanic like really hard. But oh yeah, sorry. Keep going.
No, you're good. You're good. I mean, that's all I really had to say for real. You kind of have to, because of the coin mechanic, you really have to build the deck around that. Um, I'm not a fan of like the coin life burst because, you know, getting burst stiffed with a coin mechanic just feels kind of rough to me.
Yeah, it can be kind of rough, especially if you don't have any coins. Like say so even leading on to like Dona, right? She
Yeah,
does have coins and you can get them through the game, but yeah, say you get like a life burst, you know, turn 1 or 2, and it ends up having a coin mechanic bet on there as a bonus ability, or even as just the ability. Like you have to pay a coin to be able to use it, and then you have none, or you know, and you're like, well, I want to save this, so you have to make that tough decision to like blow it now or blow it later, and then it just makes it a little more rough, um, which can be a kick in the shins.
yeah, definitely. It's just it's a double edged sword in regards to the coin mechanic because if you're using them in life burst, you're not going to have them later. Even in the case of Rail, she starts with 1 coin, so you have 1 coin to play with until you hit level 3. So hope
Yup.
you don't have multiple bet coin life bursts
Yeah, you're
that you
looking to drop
trigger.
your entire coin purse and basically turn 3 and 4.
Exactly.
Um, I mean, with the next one, Dona, I did actually try and play test with her. I wasn't like the biggest fan, but I generally do run red and white. So I did actually play Rill as well. It was a super jank deck. On a side note, like I built a coin mechanic brave deck, so that we can already probably tell how that went. Um, but I tried to go a bit more meta with Dona, or more of a competitive deck with Dona. And I felt she did okay. Her ability to give shadow is okay. It's not horrible, but it's not okay. Her once per game though is actually pretty good, especially against a discard deck. Being able to just take 2 target signing that share a color out of your trash and add them to your hand. That actually saved me a couple times. Because I know discard is still a huge thing, and it's something as an aggro player I get crippled too. Um, but yeah, Dona's able to get a bit more coins through leveling up, but she has less at the tail end of it, and there's no way to recover them, unlike Rill. So Dona is a bit less reliant on the bet system and more of, I would arguably say, playing a bit more defensive, and then kind of getting aggressive late game. At least to me. I don't know how you guys feel about her.
Yeah, I mean, I have a build currently for Donna. It's kind of a meme build, but it's at least a start. Um, I I kind of feel obligated to build Donna because not even trying to flex, but I've unfortunately pulled 2 URs of her, so I kind of feel
Dang!
obligated. I know, I hate it. Nobody wants to trade me for like an Aya or a real UR, but whatever.
I'll trade my Dona for yours.
Oh, that's a good deal. I like that. I like that. Overall, I mean, I like Dona's design just from like an artist perspective. Like, I'm not saying I'm an
Yeah.
artist, but from an art perspective, mind you,
No, I love her
I
design.
just, yeah, I mean, from her design from uh previous older JP formats, like she just has a really nice design to me. Her gameplay is a bit weak when compared to the other 2 new LRIGs released in this set, and honestly, 2 other white LRIGs.
Yeah.
Her once per turn only targets, I believe, level 3 white Signy.
Yep.
Yeah.
So if you're playing like a triple color deck or even a dual color deck, and you can't get like a white level 3 on board, it's just not there. But I will agree, her once per game is very nice and can bring some very interesting gameplay, especially when building dual color or tricolor decks. Because if you're playing like white, black, red, all right, let me just go ahead and get this Phalaris and Anna Mirage from my trash
Yep. Yeah.
because they share a color, and I think it is pretty neat. But I believe Donna might have the best spot in mono white, just because, of course, if you only have to work with one color, then you don't have to worry about the once per game. Plus, her once per turn auto is always live.
For the most part, yeah. You have to have a level 3, but yeah, I think Dona is definitely meant for like a mono white. And yeah, I will kind of agree. I think she is a little overshadowed by other white center LRIGs, especially with Tama being released in the last set and Tama being a huge center or white LRIG currently.
What do you mean? She was released this set. You even said so.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, okay.
Oh,
Couldn't
boy.
help myself.
I'll
I
eat
couldn't
that
help
idiot
myself.
sandwich. Okay.
Don't worry, I won't bring it up again. Hopefully.
Hopefully. It's going to be
Hopefully,
brought
we'll
up
see.
again, but it's all good.
I can't guarantee it, but
That's
we'll
how
see.
short-term memory I have, though. Because when you even like, what do you mean? Like she was released last set. I was like, what are you talking about? No, she was released last set, not this set. And you're like, you just said so, and I'm like, what? But so I would say the next one we can kind of look at is Aya. I know Aya actually had a lot of popularity kind of leading up to this set, and I mean, from what I kind of gathered, it looked like she was probably going to be the most popular Elrig out of Lost. Which I can see why, being that she's pretty much a discard Elrig. So being a discard and discard being a very powerful mechanic in Wixoss, a lot of people that were already currently running discard kind of went right over to Aya. As her auto is whenever she attacks, reveal the top card of your opponent's deck. If it's a level 1, perform action 1. If it's a level 2, perform action 2. If it's a level 3, perform 1 or 2, and if it's a spell, perform 1 and 2. And then 1 is draw a card, and 2, your opponent discards a card. So already you're either going to be drawing cards or discarding cards almost any time Aya attacks, at least at level 3. It's not as powerful because your first 2 turns you're not going to be able to pull that off, but still having your opponent discard or getting more resources yourself is just a really cracked ability in my opinion. And then her once per game is turn target Signy on your opponent's field face down. At the beginning of each attack phase, if a Signy is not in the same position as the face down Signy, your opponent may pay 2 or discard 2 cards as they do turn face up. So even though that's a little bit of a confusing bit of wording, essentially what she's doing is her once per game, she's going to turn a Signy face down. And at that point, it just becomes a card face down. It's not a Signy. There's nothing stopping your opponent from just swinging through and attacking you. And it's forcing your opponent to either pay 2 resources or discard 2 cards to turn that card face up. And if you're already having your opponent discard cards, they're more or less going to have to burn through their enter to be able to turn that Signy back face up again. And the thing is, too, if they don't pay that resources, that Signy stays face down permanently. So they just straight up like lose something on the so they're more or less forced to do either discard 2 cards or pay 2. And you're just burning through your opponent's resources, which is just going to push them another step or 2 back. And I mean, I'm not a big blue player. I'm going to probably swap to blue next set with Eldora just because I'm an Eldora simp. But I would say is definitely a really powerful card in the right hands in the right deck. I mean, so how do you guys kind of feel about Aya? I know, again, she was considered pretty big, at least before the set released.
I'm like, you wanna start us off, Psycho?
Yeah. Well, first thing I love about Aya is the UI art. I think it's the best one of the set. I do have a spicy build. I still need a build. I've been lazy for the past month, but I think was it one of the new SRs, Yukihime? I know,
Yeah. Yukime?
yeah, I know me and Phantom were talking about it, and he says he sees no synergy with it, but
I look. I'll take that back. I see some synergy, but at the same time, I see Aya being best in a mono blue build simply because she has access to all the new SRs like Alospiralook, Brynhilder, the new Angel level 3 SR. There's the level 2 I believe it's a vanilla, but on enter, pay a coin enter charge. And I think that's the cool thing about Aya is she gets a lot of coins front loaded. I think she starts with 4. So you're able to do a lot more with your coins proactively. Maybe, throw in some extra bursts in there that require coins, but you're able to like set up some gameplays a lot earlier. So you don't have to wait till level 3 to use a Yukime.
I mean, again, I have very little to go off of blue right now, as I'm not generally considered a blue player.
I mean, I don't believe any of us are. I think I have the most experience playing blue because I try out way too many decks. I like every set comes out and I'm just like, all right, 3 new decks. All right, let's modify 4 old decks. Let's just keep it going. I want to know what every card does. I want to know what everything works. And it's true with Aya. I mean, I made an Aya build. It wasn't the best, but it was mono blue. And I mean, it's just blue good stuff deck. Like
Yeah.
what can you say? You're discarding your opponent's hand. You're drawing a whole bunch of cards. You can't really miss with Aya's auto ability on attack because you're either drawing, making your opponent discard, or some combination of the two.
Yeah, I mean, you could probably like help build around it, but there's no downfall to her auto ability. There's nothing to not have happen essentially.
Yeah.
Like even going back to like Rill and Dona, Rill's auto is when a Signy with Rise enters the field, you may discard a card, draw a card. So nobody's gonna build a huge deck around Rise because Rise basically requires 2 Signy to be able to work, and then only just hand filtering for that isn't the best. And then she gains coins. Dona's auto requires a level 3 white Signy on your field to be able to go off. I know we haven't gotten to Maho Maho yet. Maho Maho's I would say her auto is a bit better than Rill and Dona, but yeah, Aya's is just there's no deficit to it. It's just profit. It's free real estate.
It's free real estate. Yeah, and I think Aya's cool with her once per game. It's very similar to a previous SR that released, I believe in P05 called Hamelin.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So, if you really want to, go play a meme build. And it's
Play
know.
Hamlin with Hamlin Step and Aya.
Yeah. For the cost of 3N or blank 2 lanes. It's not bad.
Yep. Yeah, that's actually pretty solid.
Yeah.
Whoa. Okay, so I mean, yeah, we're all kind of in agreement. Aya is actually a pretty darn good card. It
I
might
just
not
haven't
be
seen
like
many people play it. That's the problem. It's like
yeah, oddly enough, I would kind of agree. I think Aya is good. I just don't think people were like drawn to Aya.
It's
For some
weird
odd reason.
because in Japan, I've seen a lot of decks on Wixoss box playing her.
Yeah,
that's where
same.
I got the inspiration for my deck. So
I mean, maybe people think they might be arrested or something for playing Aya. I don't know. But at the same time, we have
valid.
Maho Sims.
Valid.
be free meals.
Free meals, yeah.
3
Free
square
board,
meals a day.
free room and board. Let's go. Whoops.
Free job.
but-
Free job.
But speaking of, maybe going to prison for playing some cards. So, Maho Maho is the next card, and then the last LRIG that came out in this set. So, all right, who would like to talk about Maho Maho? Because I can't stop staring at the image. I'm not going to mention it in the podcast, but if you take a close look at the image, there's a not so subtle reference in there.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess I'll talk about my hoe. Since
Wait,
Woo!
what do you know about Maho Maho? Since when?
But yeah, actually got this crazy idea. Instead of doing a tri-colored Cosmos deck, I thought I'd just do a dual color, black and red. And the way I have it built right now, Maho really threatens a lot of damage in games for me. Being at her auto at the beginning of your attack phase, your opponent chooses any one of the following and you perform it. Either they put the top 4 cards of their deck in the trash, or you get to add a target sign from trash to hand. So there's no restriction with that. So you can grab a servant, or if you need your Draco flares, whatever for next turn. Her inner is pretty solid. Put target signy from trash to your field. And what really throws people off is the once per game. is perform the following 3 times. Your opponent puts the top 4 cards of their deck in the trash unless they discard a card or pay enter. So I had one game where I think I only had enough resources open up 2 lanes, and I ended up doing her once per game. Like, my opponent counted their deck, they had exactly 12 cards left. So they discarded a card and paid an enter and decided to mill. Or no, they discarded 1 card and milled 8. And they didn't know I was playing Miasma Labyrinth. Or no, Death Deck. I forgot.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I forgot I had changed pieces for the 3v3 tournament we had recently. But yeah, Death Deck, I made a mill 7, and that was basically game at that point.
Nice.
And then
So
yeah, I
was
had
gonna
another
say,
one.
I
Yeah,
actually see a lot of potential with her abilities too.
yeah, they're really threatening and damaging.
Yeah. Well, so her auto ability, for one, you're forcing what happens to in the game onto your opponent.
Yeah,
So you can like it makes it a little hard for the controlling player, or I wouldn't say hard, but you have to think about 2 different possibilities. But the fact that your opponent is choosing arguably what's going to be their own loss is just a
Yeah.
bit of a psychological warfare, which is what Kyrian does do best. They just straight up troll. But
Yeah,
being able to make your opponent do that is very interesting.
it
Her
is.
enter ability, putting a target signy from your trash onto your field, that can actually be a really interesting thing too, because if you're going to put something from your trash onto your field, you need an open lane. But to do that, you can actually enter charge with something on your field. And the first thing that popped into my head, being an aggro user, is like, oh, it'd be awesome to loop something with an enter ability. So what you could do
Yeah.
is you could enter charge something off your field that has an enter ability, pay for Maho's growth, and then replay that onto the field to just to loop that enter ability, which is
Yeah.
interesting. And then it also doesn't force you to lose anything out of your hand.
No, that what makes it cooks free.
Yeah. So I think Maho is actually pretty good, especially in the right hands. You know, firm, grasping hands. But I would definitely
Man,
say
I want
Psycho.
sushi all of a sudden.
uh,
If you know, you know.
I think I know.
Okay, good.
Just
Don't stare at the Maho 3 art too long. Just don't.
I've actually had that up on a separate tab for a little while now.
I see.
Oh, boy.
Might be my last podcast, boys. But yeah, so if I had to like kind of even go from like, arguably what I would say like best LRIG out of this set to bottom of the rung, if I would blatantly put Aya as like numero uno. I think she's just really solid. She can fit a lot of builds. I'd probably put Maho after her. I think Maho is a bit more specific, but when you get into that specific deck built around her and the abilities that she can do, you're gonna do really well. Rill and Dona, I kind of have a rougher time with. I think Dona might top Rill a little bit better because of Dona's once per game. Rill's once per game just vanishing something like cool, but there's so many other things that can do that I feel like that's a wasted once per game. Her auto is just getting more coins, and then having the ability to hand filter with a Rise Signy is just meh. So I'd probably put Rill on the bottom rung, which really kind of hurts personally because red is probably my favorite color. Like red and white are my favorite colors in Wixoss. So even me saying like Dona and Rill are probably like bottom of the rung for this set kind of hurts a little bit.
Nah, I totally agree with that tier list. I think Real beats out Donna just a little bit, as much as that hurts me. Just because we do have a lot more Rise Signy nowadays, and it's not just like in red. But
True,
specifically
yeah.
in like we have some nice black Rise Signy. The Brave archetype is actually what I think fits Real the best, because you can play like Cuckoo Lane and just rise it from your hand from
Did
Brave
try
and
that.
Dash.
It was horrible.
Damn, oof. My build
I
in
d- I I
in
d- I
shambles.
I built a Brave Rise deck with Real. It was bad.
Skill issue? I don't know.
No, it could be. I'm not going to disagree. Could
I'm
definitely be a
actually
skill
curious on your
issue.
build. I'm curious on your build. Go ahead and DM me that afterwards. I
Oh,
want to talk
I totally just disintegrated that deck
about.
after like 2 or 3 rounds. I was like, nah, dog, this ain't it.
But yeah, Royal's kind of more fun, in my opinion, just with her once per turn auto to gain more coins, so you can be a little more greedy with those and just play a lot more coin Signy and cards, as opposed to any other of the coin LRIGs currently, because their caps currently, I believe, like 5 coins max
Yeah,
that
yep,
they can
5
get.
coins
So
at a time. Yep.
yeah, Real being able to use that resource a little bit more efficiently is kind of cool. The Rise auto is just a side effect, in my opinion. It's like
Yeah.
they looked at X soul attachment. They're like, yeah, let's throw this on an LRIG.
But you have to rise instead.
Yeah, it's not even, it would have been way better if it was, play a red Signy or play a level 3
Yeah.
red Signy, in my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, so I will say I think Rill might really get a good couple of extra steps up in the upcoming sets, because this set is the one that introduced the bet and coin system, which we'll kind of go into a bit more detail a little later on. But this one did introduce that, and with even like Exceed back in the day, I think they first released Exceed with what, changing, but it wasn't a whole lot of Exceed, and then it was the set afterward that really had a lot more Exceed costs. And with this set even having some coin but not a whole lot, I think with the next set, which is Spread, if I'm not mistaken, um, it would be. I think there's going to be more cards that will utilize the coin and bet mechanic and actually make Real's coin generation much better in the future. I just think right now there's not enough to really benefit greatly off of it. But that's just with this set. I'm looking down in the future. I think she will do better, but as of right now, I think she's still probably bottom of the barrel. Which again, each set changes what LRIGs do tend to do well and which ones don't.
Yeah, and I mean we can get into the bet mechanic right now because I believe that's where we're
Yep.
headed anyways, and
Yeah, we
it's
can.
cool. It's cool to have. Yeah, I figured let's just expedite that trip.
This is our
So it's
segue into the bet system.
segue. Bet. Heck yeah, bet.
Bet.
If you don't say it that way when you play a game, you're losing that game.
Oh,
I'll go ahead and
Bet.
bet my Mask Legend. It's cool because it's just another resource available to players, like you mentioned, with Exceed cost. And I will agree with you. We don't really have that much of a payoff at this moment for betting. I think Real definitely has the best with like Carnival, Mask Legend. In my personal build, I'm running Yukime, so you have access to that. Blue getting Enter Charge for the Costo coin is interesting.
yeah, almost kind of like resource swapping.
Yeah, just a little bit. It's nice that you don't have to pay Enter for a lot of these life bursts. It's like, oh, let's just bet a coin and just vanish something with 12k or less, or bounce it, or minus 12k,
Yeah,
whichever 10k vanilla you would want to play. But it's just not enough right now to really build a lot of decks around. And same thing goes with the new coin piece. It's like if you're playing that, I feel like you're just inting and you want to lose. Just
yeah.
in my personal opinion. Because sure, gain 5 coins. What are you gonna do with them?
Yep. Like, what one was that? Is that Take Off?
I
We
think
Cross
take off.
Rovo.
Yeah.
Yeah. In which, that's kind of like you want to play an LRIG that doesn't get coins, but you want to use the coin system, but you strictly are limited to 5. You get 5 immediately, but then you cannot gain any, and then you're wasting a piece. It's. I would definitely say that's like a really bad piece, and then as you kind of said, you're just looking to lose.
Yeah, we got to see if in the future with more payoffs. I mean, I personally don't look too far into sets. Like, I don't look at the JP list. I'm always excited opening new product because I'm like, oh, this is what this does. That's so cool. I love just opening the fresh experience. It always ruins it for me when we go into a new set. I already know it's going to be good. I'm
Yeah.
already deck teching and testing for months ahead of time. I don't like that. So hopefully there's some new. Hopefully there's listen. Hopefully there's some new uses for the coin piece in the future.
Yeah. And I feel the same way, Phantom. Just I don't like looking too far ahead. Like the only thing I know for certain right now that probably gonna run the meta for a while is Dashirana.
I'm
you know,
excited.
yeah, me too. I still got to find a list. Nobody wants to help me. But yeah,
WeCrossbox.com. We're not endorsed by them.
nope.
But we could be.
Right. I can't speak or read Japanese, so well, if one of you guys wants to get whole WeCrossbox, go for it. So on a little bit on that, I would actually say I do tend to look a little forward into sets, but I try to hold maybe to like the next set or maybe the farthest like 2. And usually I just get excited about what the LRIGs are. I don't go like too deep into like a lot of like the SRs and commons and rares and deck tech like an entire deck based off of like 3 sets down the line. But like I'm like, all right, when's this cool? When's this LRIG that I totally like, simp for? Is when are they coming out? Like the next set, I'm psyched because Eldora. The set after that, I'm actually really psyched for. There's other LRIGs that are coming out that both my wife and I are actually really looking forward to, which would be like what, set 9?
Yeah.
Like set 9. We're
So P09, I believe. Yeah.
Yep, P09. Yeah, that is a set that I think I'm going to just cream my pants over. Set 9 is called Conflated. Yeah, the LRIGs in that set are just I'm all over it. And I haven't even looked at what their abilities really are. I just like the LRIG.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah. But yeah, so kind of re-railing, I should say. So the bet system is pretty much just like an alternative resource compared to the current Exceed system that we have going on. Again, new mechanics, it's basically a new payment system so you can get certain effects off of certain cards. I know we haven't actually gone over any of these pieces. This set's pieces, I would say, are a little like middle of the ground here. I don't think I've seen people really using a crap ton of them.
I haven't seen any.
Yeah.
Ooh, glad
As
we
we
have
kind
some
of already
differing
mentioned, like
opinions here.
Takeoff WeCross Robo is kind of a Garbo card.
No, it's best card.
It's the best card.
Right. I actually have some interesting opinions on some of the new pieces, even if I haven't really used all of them. So I guess one piece that I don't see people using that they probably should is Don't Stop Pretty. It's a nice, basically Modica clap or Modica dub, during any attack phase or main phase. You just exceed.
It's actually main phase only.
No,
you activate the piece during main phase, but then you can activate
okay, yeah.
the effect
the
during
action is it during attack phase, yeah.
Correct. Yeah.
And
Like, don't worry.
I'm dropping the secret tech here.
It's not that secret tech. Just read the cards. It's fine. The real secret tech.
I play red. I don't read cards. We just had that experience right now.
You're right. The piece is blue. What is this? I'm colorblind. I can't see that. Blue? More like in the trash. No, but I think that's
when
actually
I see
a pretty
blue,
good
it's
card.
not for you.
A blue dabba dee dabba da. Gods. All right. My personal favorite piece of the set, I know this is gonna sound super weird, but it's Sparkling Memories, and a lot of people are like, "Nah, this piece is trash," and I'm like,
No,
"Nah,
it's pretty good.
it's pretty good. If you can afford the enter, it's very nice." And this kind of goes to some of the techs I've been playing around with this set specifically. And it's like, oh, if a lane gets cleared, on Elric, so we can just play something else from hand, super easy.
Yeah.
And then another piece is like Energy Door. I think that's a very good piece when used with the proper deck, and that's because it could stop an Elric swing.
I have heard Energy Door actually being a really powerful card. The big deficit of Energy Door is it's green.
Understandable. As a Sangha Spite player, I'm taking a little offense, but I understand.
I'm not saying like green's necessarily bad, but very few people tend to play heavy green decks.
Yeah. I mean, it only costs 1 green and then 2 colorless, so it's fine. You don't have to heavy invest into green, but that means you still have to play, a green assist.
Yeah.
I mean, who plays green centers, please? Ugh.
To be fair, I did back in the day. I tried playing Wolf and Bong.
I think out of all the colors, that's the only center I haven't tried yet for myself.
Try
Go
Bong.
play Sangha. Sangha best deck.
Yeah, no, I got
Songa win rate 100%. Let's go.
100%.
Can't lose if you're not versing anybody.
Exactly. So those are like the three big pieces in the set that I feel like are actually pretty good. Sure, some people might argue that Entwined Supremacy is just better than Sparkling Memories, which I can understand.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
I get
I'd
it,
argue
but
that.
they
But you
fill two
gotta-
different purposes.
well, you got to pay resources to cancel their burst with
That's
Entwine,
true.
whereas Sparkling Memories, it just denies them outright.
I
If-
mean, it hasn't happened to me yet where they add a servant off the top and then they play the servant on Elric Swing, but I'm just waiting for the day. I'm waiting for the day.
Yeah.
Yeah, the fact that Sparkling Memories is on attack every time though, and then you are just you're not activating their life burst regardless. You're more or less probably going to be able to deal like a solid, or at least, or I wouldn't say deal damage. It's not technically, but remove 2 of their life cloth more or less from Sparkling Memory. So I think that could be really useful. And now that I'm thinking about it, being a Lion fan, that could be a really spicy card to use with Lion.
I mean, I'm personally using it in a Tama build I have, which I guess we'll kind of get into it a little bit later, but it's just fun. Yes, it's enter heavy, but just being able to deal 2 or 3 damage in a turn is pretty fun. Off
Yeah.
of just Elric Swing.
That is pretty spicy though.
Yeah. All right, so I think. How do you guys feel about the Sissa set? I think they're actually really solid this set.
Now, I'd agree. I think the assists are actually pretty solid this set, if not just good, I think. I actually really like the Nanashi assist. Despite the fact that Mel, I don't think she's had like a huge presence, but her assists are still really solid. Mel Revise, just putting 2 target cards without guard from your trash into your enter zone is straight up free enter charge 2. That's great in my personal opinion. Some early game resources. Mel Invisible and Overrun are both like just really ability heavy. And even Present is really like at least decent.
Yeah, I mean for Mel, I think like you said, Revise is just good. You can choose what you want to put in enter. So if you're like need some color fixing, you can definitely
Yep.
just pick up the cards you need from trash. Mel Invisible is just a good card. It's just a better bang to capo in my opinion.
Yeah.
You know, on
Yep.
enter, pay 2 to grow cost, block the next damage, discard 2, and then pay another 3.
Yep.
Green,
3
2
with 1
colorless.
green. Yep.
Yeah, so it's just nice how it just blocks damage.
Yeah. You could straight up, with the resources, you could just negate 3 damage.
Yeah, which is very nice, especially if your opponent isn't, clearing like full board clearing you.
Yeah.
And then
I
you
would
also
actually say I
mentioned,
think Invisible would do really well with a draw deck because being able to discard 2 cards, so you could pay 2, enter, and then discard 2 cards with a draw deck. You're not really losing too much there, and negate 2 damage.
yeah,
And bam, done.
yeah, because like you don't even need to play green. I mean,
Yep.
even blanking out 2 damage is still very good. And then you also mentioned Mel Present, which I think is also a very interesting card because she has a once per game action on an assist.
Yep.
Which is Lancer, which I know a lot of people don't like Lancer, but being able to activate that whenever you want is very nice. I enjoy modular cards like that.
Yeah. It gives you the choice and freedom of being able to choose when to do that. Because even in a theoretical situation, you already know your opponent has their 4 servants in trash. They have a full field. They have 1 life cloth left. You can go, all right, cool, Mel. I'm gonna give this my Signy Lancer. Boom, they deal that 1 extra damage. You swing with your LRIG, you win. In which any other time, you wouldn't have been able to do something like that. You would have just been able to swing for that 1 damage from your LRIG, and that's it.
Yeah, it's a very cool card. I definitely liked playing with it in the pre-release event as well.
Also, food.
Also, food is good.
Yeah, that's gonna be a fun deck when it comes out.
You're right. You're right.
I think a lot of people are looking forward to food decks for some odd reason.
Because we hungry. We hungry for some food decks.
Yeah. It doesn't help
True.
it's lunchtime where I'm at right now anyway.
No, I can say the same. It's like lunchtime here too.
Yeah, so
I mean, I had a good chuckle even when opening this set. I like when the first time I saw tuna mayo, I was like, "What is this?"
I love that card so much.
I despise that card so much. I looked at this. I'm like, why do I own foils of this card? Why? I'm gonna burn them. I don't need them.
No, you keep them and you prize them.
Yeah, I'm gonna go get them graded.
Yep, yeah, go get them
me-
graded. Go get that
yeah.
tuna mayo graded.
I'm like, need that PSA 10, that Beckett Black Label. Let's go.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I would say definitely Mel is, in my personal opinion, at least more of a good. Honestly, I would say she's almost a sleeper Signy or assist.
Yeah, I definitely don't see a lot of people playing her. And then Psycho also mentioned earlier, Nanashi assist. I think Nanashi's selection is the hottest
Cracked.
new assist.
Mhm.
Like just being able to, use her effect essentially three turns in a row. Being able to minus 10k to something, or enter charging 2, or just adding something from your trash without a guard. Just the payoff from just being able to do any one of those 3 just on the fly during your turn is awesome.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Honestly, it's pretty. Honestly, it's really good. And then kind of either using. I mean, I would say for her level 1s, both of her level 1s are solid. They both add viruses to your opponent's Signy zones, which can really pop off selection. Honestly, I would say her level 1s are pretty interchangeable depending on just what you want. One is negative 8,000 power to a Signy. The other one's mill 2, then add 2 Signy with different levels and without guard from your trash to hand. So one can help you just trash dig, the other and mill a little bit, and then the other one is just get something off the field. Let's go.
Yeah. So before we gloss over SRs real quick, honestly, I think one of the best assists out of the set is Miko Gachan.
Yes.
Put target level
I
1
will
Signy
kind of agree
to
that.
bottom of deck. I mean, it denies him an inner free open lane. I mean, but anything on bottom deck is just broken at this point.
Yeah, it is. It's the most powerful thing you can do in this game, in my opinion. Yeah, as you said, you're like you bottom deck something. They're really not going to see it until the end of the game unless they are able to literally pull it out. In which there's even to this point, I would say there's very few cards that just let you dig for something in your deck at any time. So they're more than likely not going to see that card again. 2, you're also denying them resources. It's not going back to their hand. It's not going to their enter zone. It's not even going to their trash. So they can't, dig it out with like say a black deck. It's pretty much gone. And for 0 cost, just straight up, just free, that is really cracked.
Yeah, I mean that's why people were playing Tamago Beating for a while, just because it just send a level
Bottom
1 to the
decks.
bottom deck, and that helps for like problem level 1 Signy like Zhao Yun who have Shadow to level 2, or something that's a big body like a Baphomet. It's just pretty cool to just get it off the field, 2 open lanes for free, no bounce back to hand, no vanish for enter, just bottom deck, no resource. It's the best denial, like you said earlier.
So
yeah, and she even can kind of follow that up too with her level 2 Zubashan. It is a 3 cost, but yeah, just put target Signy on your opponent's field, the bottom of its owner's deck. Let's go again. And then you can discard 3 and then look at your opponent's hand and choose a card your opponent cards it. So that can be a really cracked card. Like it is a little on the pricier side, but being able to look at your opponent's hand and have him discard a card right after you and bottom decking anything on their field. Miko assist this set is pretty bonkers. Like she went from straight trolling into almost goddess tier.
Yeah, definitely. And she's only going to get better with next set. I know we alluded to her earlier, but with Dashrana, the Miko Zuzashan is an integral part to that strategy, because being able just to clear lane and also look at your opponent's hand and get rid of any cards possible is a very valuable tool to have in any aggro player's deck.
Yep.
Yeah. So let's know where the SRs real quick. What would you think? Well, I guess just give me your guys' top 3.
Thoroughbred.
That's all three. 1, 2, 3, thoroughbred.
Yep.
Understandable.
Thoroughbred. Yep. 3-0-bred.
3-0 bread.
Um, I'll let Phantom go first. Because I'm not gonna lie, I'm gonna probably have a harder time picking
Let me
these.
let me start us off. For me,
All right.
it's gonna be Mugen, Liwat, Guzuko, just because of the SRPs.
Okay.
Understandable.
Yep.
right.
Totally
Where to-
justifiable.
Where to
Yeah.
trade Donna you are for Guzuko SRP, please? I'm desperate.
Yeah.
Mhm.
All right. Next.
All right, I'll go ahead. So my top threes are a little interesting. So definitely for my number one and things I was excited to play with is Patra, because as I was saying, I play Songa sometimes, but the synergy
Sometimes.
between sometimes, just on occasion, 100% win rate.
Mhm.
The synergy between green and black decks is pretty fun, and this bridges the gap between the two.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So it's just fun that way. Plus, her SRP looks nice.
Okay.
Kind of similar to Hakata is Thoroughbred. She just really powers up the overall Terror Beast engine, but it also makes it splashable into decks like DXM, which I
Yep.
find is a very good game ender. Dropping a Thoroughbred, playing out a Tengu Zara from the trash, making it not able to be downed, just means a free lane. Of course, I like Liwat because I like Angel Tribal. Haven't played with her this set, but she's cool, and I guess I'll have to put her as number 3. But really, just my top 2 is like Patra and Thoroughbred.
So if I had to choose, I would I'd probably definitely say Thoroughbred. Being a little bit of a Terror Beast fan, yeah, pushing that end a bit harder. If I had to still kind of stick with Red, I think Carnival is actually really interesting. I like her art as well, but the ability to just make something into a Servant Zero, I think, is pretty cool, even though it is expensive and you're probably not going to be pulling it off often. But being able to copy something as well and make herself duplicate another Signy is pretty interesting. And she can even copy like other Rise Signy and Harmony Signy without having to deal with the cost of it. So I think she has some like interesting mechanics.
Okay.
Pardon me for a moment. Carnival cannot copy Rise or Harmony.
What? Did
Yeah,
I misread
read.
that?
Yeah, no.
I'm red. I don't. It's on a red card. I didn't read it.
Yeah,
We
no,
have
she cannot.
eyeballs for a reason.
Listen, that would be busted if you were able to copy like an H2O on swing.
Without. Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So she's kind of more limited in scope, and that's kind of why I didn't put her in my top 3, because she's a very niche Signy at this point, and we just
Yeah, I
don't
mean,
really have much to copy.
Yeah.
the art looks cool.
And the
Yeah,
other
I
best
mean-
thing she has going for her, she's a Cosmos.
I was gonna say Clussy.
Honk, honk, honk,
Yeah, honk honk.
Yep. Honk.
honk, honk. Honk, honk.
If I had to say a third, I'd actually pick Mugen. I don't think Mugen is necessarily a great card in any way, shape, or form, but what she does is really interesting. And being one of like the two first like colorless Signy outside of Servants to actually kind of come out, I would pick Mugen over Lowat, because Lowat is very much toned towards Angel decks. But Mugen being able to just nuke an entire field is interesting, and the fact that she has limit X7, meaning you have to actually have a 7 limit to be able to even play her. And as far as I know, she's the only card with that print on there, which is really interesting.
Yeah.
And the fact that she has infinite damage.
Yeah. I
So
like.
the only way you're really you can't physically beat her down off the field. You have to either beat her down with another Mugen, or something that will just straight up vanish a Signy.
Yeah.
And even worst case scenario, you don't plan on using her, you can toss her into your enter zone, and she is considered multi-enter like a servant. So I think she has a weird little bit of utility if you're trying to like do some weird off plays. I wouldn't run like more than say 2 max of her in a deck, but I still think she's a really interesting card.
For me, she's just the one-off tech.
Yeah, yeah, it's 2 maximum, and I'd say that's getting some spicy there.
Yeah, I mean, just like you said, her exceed cost to wipe the board is cool. It's just a shame she can only be the only Signy on board that
Yeah.
turn, so you can't open up, 2 lanes for free. It's like, all right, I get 1 lane, do what you must, and even
Yeah.
then, your opponent can still down or make it not attack. And it's just like
Yep.
it's cool. It's cool. I see some tech, I see some utility, but I think at this moment,
Oh, not much. Yeah, I just
yeah,
think it's an interesting thing because she is the first card that has basically been like wipe everything, like just go completely nuclear.
Erish Kegel.
It's true.
Yeah.
At the cost of 2 life, trash your opponent's
Yeah.
board.
Yeah.
I do
Yeah.
like how she has multi-ender though. That's the cool part.
Yeah.
If she didn't,
I do
I
think
wouldn't
that's
even
cool.
consider. Yeah.
Yeah. So. All right. So, I guess we had a special announcement over the weekend.
Yeah, I'm psyched about this.
Wait, we did? What? What did I
Yeah,
miss?
we did.
I'm just playing. I'm playing. I'm playing.
I was like,
Well,
bruh.
July 2nd, Las Vegas.
22nd.
I was gonna say, was it
July
22nd?
22nd.
Yeah,
Yeah.
July 20th. I'm pretty sure I said that. Guys, I can't speak well.
It's fine. It's understandable. Have a nice day.
Hey, I can't
Yeah.
remember well, so if we put all three of us together, we're like a barely functioning human.
Yeah. Yep, in Las Vegas, we're going to have our first Wixoss ENGP.
Let's go!
Stands for Grand Prix.
Yep. We really don't know much. Don't know the cost. Don't know the attendance. Don't even know the exact convention center or anything.
Yeah, we have no idea what venue it is.
But
Yeah,
I've seen
Tommy
a lot of
basically
people.
announced it's
Yeah.
Vegas. Yeah.
Seen a lot of people book their flights already. I think Phantom said he's going to drive down there. Who knows?
I mean, I personally wouldn't book a flight yet until I'm trying to go, but I'm not going to buy my flight until I see what the price of the tickets are at the same time.
Yeah, honestly, I should probably fly down there, but I've got about an 11-hour drive, but I'll be bringing other people from my locals down. So it'll be fine. But yeah, it's
Oh,
an
yeah.
exciting announcement. I didn't think we were going to get something like this ever.
Same, yeah.
Honestly, our last online ceremony was back in October.
Yep.
And
that was
we've heard
what? Yeah, the PO5.
that was P05.
Yeah.
And it's crazy how we had heard nothing since. But this was announced on a JP live stream. Funny enough, a JP Ycross live stream.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then posted to
which
their
was at least to my local time at like 6 a.m.
yeah, it was like 4 a.m. for me, I believe. Yeah. And it was crazy waking up to this news. And I'm like, it's awesome.
Yeah, no,
like
it's
I said,
really awesome. I mean, it is a little disappointing to know that Tommy still hadn't announced anything. Like they were very tight-lipped for the past almost 6 months at this point.
yeah.
But it's still really awesome to hear that they're doing a live in-person Grand Prix in Vegas. So I'm not even gonna lie. There's a few times probably since like January up until now where there's a good handful of times honestly where I was like, is Tommy are they gonna drop it? Are they gonna drop it? Are they gonna pull out of NA? Like they have their roadmap, but after this year, they just pulling out. No more ceremonies, lack of support, blah blah blah. And I was like, man, I don't know how I'm feeling about this. But the fact that they announced this GP, and then also something else along with the announcement, which is really cool as well. But the GP just shows that at least they're trying to push for locals now instead of keeping it all online, which has kind of been the thing since they released during COVID. But in person Grand Prix, their first massive event as in person in Las Vegas, and Las Vegas venues ain't cheap, I can tell you that. So it does bode pretty, I would say, very hopeful that they are trying to actually push for more locals, and they did even announce with that in-store ceremonies now. So it seems like they're gonna be holding like larger ceremonies, but at least within stores, and it almost sounds like maybe even a bit more of a regional thing. There's no confirmation on this. This is just me theorizing, but in-store ceremonies is going to be awesome rather than having these ceremonies every 2 or 3 months online of only like 100 people, but hoping that they can do like maybe more of a regional ceremony and then like this massive Grand Prix. And I think that would really help bolster in-person local play as well.
Yeah, definitely, and it's exciting news, and especially with the in-person ceremonies, because it seems like they are trying to skew the English market to kind of how Japan does it, where they have, their parties almost every day at multiple locations, their ceremonies like once a month in
Yeah.
person, and like
Yep.
these ceremonies are, 20 odd players, sometimes more, sometimes less, but they were never meant to be this 192 player online experience.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
with them announcing the in-person ceremonies, it's very exciting, and I definitely want more people to get into the game because of that. Because the local play is really what makes this game thrive.
Oh, definitely.
Online's fun and all, but playing card games in person is definitely the best feel to me and to I know a lot of players. So
Yep.
getting this GP announcement is just chef's
It's
kiss.
sick. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it's a whole different experience playing a card game in person. Being able to even like just chit chat with somebody in person, look them in the eye, shake their hand, hold their cards that, if they're brave enough to like bring, like their, super rare, ridiculously like, slabbed, numbered card or something, and just have that in hand. Give them high fives. You get that one life burst that flips the game like towards your end, and you just dab on them in person. Doesn't work
Yeah.
online.
Yeah, it
It's
doesn't have
so
the
much
same
more.
effect.
Yeah, it really doesn't. Because even my locals are pretty darn small. My wife and I more or less make up like half of the locals, so that says how big that is. Um, but yeah, playing in person and just having that effect, like even recently I was playing against a buddy of mine. I hit a life burst, which actually won me the game, and I just like lost my crap. I was like, yo, let's go! Vanish the last Signy that's gonna try and deal me lethal. Yes! Instead of being like, all right, cool, I'm on webcam, and then you just go, all right,
Oh, nice.
yay, yeah.
Hit burst.
Like,
Woo.
yeah, you just sit there and you're just like, all right, cool, life burst. Pog.
Yeah, like I was playing against my buddy yesterday, and to end the game, I literally dropped 3 servants on board and said response. The
Nice.
the look on his face was priceless. It was great. It's just fantastic with the in-person gameplay, with some of these shenanigans like flipping these good bursts or just dropping a servant for game.
Yeah, it's just way better in person, and seeing that Tomy is at least trying to push for this a bit harder it makes me hopeful. Um, because yeah, I would say it's kind of been a roller coaster with Wecross. Like when it released, it was booming, it was popular. We had a bunch of stores, even like online, or stores hosting like online events. Kind of roller coastered a little down after like glowing. Vertex boomed again. It was like the perfect time to get in. Whole new set, whole new meta, and then since then kind of slowed down again. P6 released, a little bit more of a collector's boom in my opinion, but still booming. But then yeah, like this set, I would say was a bit more lackluster than the last one, but it's kind of hard to top when you have a bunch of sleeping promos.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I still think this would be a really cool event, and it makes me hopeful.
Yeah,
And
I
then
want to see what the attendance is. I want to see like a
yeah,
bunch of
I'm
White Cross
hoping for
players
like
from
500
across.
plus people.
Oh, that would be amazing. But that would be so many rounds of Swiss. Holy.
It would, yeah.
Woo.
I don't think they'd be doing Swiss, or it might be like maybe no, because they only announced one day, so it would be one day.
Swiss
I
to Top
mean,
Cut, maybe, or just kind
yeah,
of how they do it for the online ceremonies. We'll see. We'll see.
yeah, we'll kind of see, but I could see it being like definitely an all day thing though. But I still am super excited for it. But along with that announcement, though, was something that was also really cool that it makes me hopeful that Tomy is kind of listening and keeping an eye on the NA market. Sorry, Europe, you guys are still kind of getting shafted a bit. So I feel bad for a lot of European players. They are definitely getting shafted. But they did release information on a North America or English only starter deck. So it's from the images we've seen, a lot of people can make a good estimated guess that is actually a Urith deck. And I would agree. The silhouette of the center LRIG definitely looks like Urith in my opinion. No idea what the cards are in the deck, but the fact that they're releasing a Urith North or English only deck is still just really dope. So like JP players are not going to have this at all. And I mean, I'm kind of curious if they intend on having like card specific to that, because that could definitely change up the meta a bit. Having cards only in this deck that were never released anywhere else. But I doubt they do that. But still, having a pre-constructed Urith deck is actually still really cool and shows that Tomy is still, at least keeping an eye on the Western market. So the fact that they announced this Grand Prix in Las Vegas, and then having an English only constructed deck, or at least released only in English, is still really cool in my opinion. So I'm kind of hopeful and seeing how that goes.
Yeah, honestly, Earth is a fan favorite of a lot of Wixoss players.
Yep.
They're like, yeah, we like Earth, and that's why we're playing the game, and that's totally fine. And the fact that we're getting an English exclusive is amazing. My guess is that this might be our replacement for double heroines. I'm not sure when that's supposed to release, but I'm expecting this to kind of be a somewhat reprint set.
Yeah.
Like some key cards like Polaris or Dark Energy.
Having like
cards
reprints of some SRs.
Correct. Yeah, from like P01, P02, sets that aren't seeing print anymore and that are pretty much exclusively bought out.
Yep.
And it would be excited to see if there is new English exclusive cards, because Talker of Tommy's done that before. In I forget which set it released it in, but the zero cost spell Rapid Accumulation.
Okay,
believe-
so that was not actually NA exclusive, but it was not released in the set originally in JP. It was a promotional card given out for the manga, or the Wixoss manga in Japan, or comic or something like that, or magazine. And because we don't get that magazine, they just kind of shoehorned it into the set.
Yeah, well, that's what I was trying to get at, is that Takurotomi isn't afraid to change it up a little bit. Sure, that may be seen as an
Yeah.
import, but I wouldn't put it past them to print out some English exclusive cards, especially because they've seen our meta is way vastly different than JP meta was, and they
Yep.
might be printing some English only cards to shake that up, and that would
I'd
be
be so cool with that, to be
that'd
honest.
be very cool to see. But biggest guess, it might just be a demon tribal deck. Because
I could see it being like a demon tribal reprint deck, but still having that for an English only constructed deck is still really cool.
It's very exciting news, yeah.
I do think that is really dope. But all right, I think we're kind of creeping up on our time limit here, though. About an hour. Yeah, I would say about an hour already. But our next podcast, we're looking at diving into a little bit of Lorcana. We've gotten hints that Ravensburger might actually be releasing some gameplay rules on Lorcana. So gonna have another special guest next week, who's a bit more knowledgeable. I've been trying to look into Lorcana a bit myself. But one of our current garden residents is I would say a bit more well versed on it than I am, or most of us are. But so we can look forward to that next week. But thank you guys for listening. We hope you guys come back and listen to us rant on about random BS and poke fun at each other a couple times here and there.
Yeah, this is a very fun podcast. Thanks, Phantom, for coming out.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I appreciate
like,
coming out. It's been fun.
Yeah, I'd like to invite you back for another episode, for whatever we talk about.
Well, so Phantom, you're into battle spirits, right?
No.
Oh, well,
We'll
how would you like to be?
Sorry, I'm Whitecross simp now. I'm chilling. I'm actually waiting for the Marvel Snap physical game release.
Okay.
Slated 2024. Yeah, that's because it doesn't exist. But
Oh, well, okay, that makes sense. But definitely, thank you again for coming on. We'll probably reinvite you out for a couple episodes here and there. If we're missing somebody, we might make you like maybe one of the designated fill-ins. Yay.
Sounds good. I'm always feel free to come on here, clown a little bit.
Yeah. Dab on that Clussy.
Yeah. Well, thank
you guys can't see me actually dabbing, but
dab.
Very fun podcast.
But thank you guys again for listening. We should have links to the Discord server, any other pertinent information. I think we'll also probably have a link to actually, I don't think there's any links yet to the announcement as it was on the JP stream. But once that comes out, we'll probably have some information links on the GP and the NA deck. You can always go to Takara Tomi's website for card browser and any news updates that they're posting up on their website. And then feel free to stop by the cardgarden.com for any card game supplies, stuff like that. Definitely, we sell Wixoss, One Piece. We're looking at starting Pokemon up, so that's going to be kind of exciting as well. But yeah, hopefully we see you guys, or maybe not see you, but listen to us the next episode.
Alrighty, guys.